In-person learning must be in schools. Oh, whatever. Okay, let's go. Hello, everyone. Teacher Phelps here. I'm standing. Can you believe it? With the Omicron variant surge ripping across America and planet Earth, schools are in absolute shambles. The mainstream messaging coming from the media, administration, leadership, and politicians, both left and right, tells us that students must be in school because in-person learning is best for student achievement. Don't listen to them. This narrative being pushed during this Omicron surge is very misleading. It's causing more problems in the education system, both short and long term, and it's actively harming, maybe killing, teachers, staff members, families, and students. I want to be very clear. My argument is that for the safety, health, and sanity of teachers, students, and staff, we should not be forcing or pushing in-person learning during surges in COVID cases. It's as simple as that. Let's talk about it. The Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros, has this to say about the recent Omicron variant surge. He says, "More transmission means more hospitalizations, more deaths, more people off work, including teachers and health workers, and more risk of another variant emerging that is even more transmissible and more deadly than Omicron." Now, you can think what you want about WHO and Dr. Tedros, but I would say focus on the studies and the information about coronavirus. From what I can tell, the facts and figures support this quote that I just read to you. If this quote is in fact true, then we need to do everything we can to reduce transmission during this coronavirus surge. So, dear viewer, I ask this question. Is encouraging teachers, staff, and students to be in school during a COVID surge increasing transmission? To put it another way, are schools the type of place where transmission easily occurs? Do I even need to ask that? Throughout the past 10 years, education overlords have been packing schools and classrooms with students. Funding is often directly linked to the amount of students within a school, which I guess makes sense, but also by having less buildings open, that's less teachers, staff, heating, cooling, water, electricity that you have to worry about paying for. By closing buildings, you benefit by being able to save and accumulate more money within a district. So yes, schools and classrooms are jam-packed with human bodies in them. Teachers are often dealing with class sizes of 25 to 30 to 35, which is kind of the norm, but many teachers have 40 to 45 students in them. Does this sound like a place where transmission is easily prevented? Going further, let's take a look at some facts about COVID and the pandemic in general. Number one, children of any age can catch COVID. Number two, children of any age can spread COVID to others. Now, number three, children are less likely to have severe symptoms or die of COVID. But number four, babies younger than 1 and children of any age with severe underlying conditions are more likely to have severe illness and maybe could die from COVID. Lastly, number five, we currently do not know the full long-term effects of COVID. My point with these facts is that it's not just the lives of students that are threatened by COVID, but also the lives of others that share community with these students. In regards to the vaccine, let's take a look at a few more facts. Number one, children as young as 5 can become fully vaccinated. Number two, currently only 18% of 5 to 11-year-olds are fully vaccinated. Number three, currently only 54% of 12 to 17-year-olds are fully vaccinated. Lastly, and just something to keep in mind, even with the vaccine, you can still catch COVID, spread COVID, and potentially suffer breakthrough cases. With all this information clearly promoting in-person learning during this Omicron surge is increasing transmission and also negatively affecting the health and safety of all people that are involved in the community of schools. The people pushing this in-person agenda all seem to use the same study on the subject. This study shows that students in states that predominantly learned with in-person learning performed better on state tests than those students in states that learned with hybrid or at-home learning. Now, I have a few problems with the study itself, but I have a lot of problems with the arguments that use this study to push their in-person agenda. First of all, with the study itself, they use 2021 testing data from during the heart of pandemic problems, and they only use it from 12 states. Also, the participation for these tests is significantly lower than normal. So, when people on the media try and present this as completely conclusive data, it can be somewhat misleading. In fact, from the Colorado testing data that they use for this study, the leaders explicitly state at the beginning of their data that as participation rates decrease, challenges with interpreting results will increase. Participation information will indicate that in some cases, conclusions should be drawn with caution or completely avoided. So in general, this data might even be useless. Who knows? Let's just pretend, for argument's sake, that this study is 100% true and perfect. So what? They are taking one study and they are using it to push the most extreme of conclusions. There are literally thousands of studies out there where leaders would never take it to the most extreme of conclusions. Let's just look at a few in education. First of all, there's that classic study. All teachers pretty much know this study, where starting school later would help improve achievement scores and attendance for teenagers. Where are all the talking heads on TV shouting about changing school starting times? Another classic study shows that homeschooled students actually perform better on standardized tests than in-school students. Where are all the people on the news urging everyone to be homeschooled? There are other recent studies that actually show students that learn online perform about the same on standardized tests as students who are in school. Some studies even show in certain subjects it might be better to have an online class for. Why aren't these studies being factored into this original discussion? I'll tell you why they aren't. Because there are other factors involved. We should not push these studies and we should not push this current study in question because there are other factors involved. It's that simple. Let's take a step back and ask ourselves another question. If their goal is to provide the best learning environment for students, is learning even taking place while in person during these COVID surges? Let's take a look at what is actually happening in schools right now. Currently, there is a massive teacher and sub shortage for many reasons, from poor working conditions and low pay to the simple fact that teachers and subs are getting sick with COVID. It's getting so bad, some states are even lowering the requirements for being a sub. You only have to be 18 and have a high school diploma to sub. Other states are increasing sub pay. Some states are asking parents to be subs. They're bringing in admin from district buildings to sub. Some states are even calling in the National Guard. So ask yourselves, are these people going to do a good job at educating students? If there is no sub, then multiple classes of the leftover students are crammed into a single classroom or an auditorium, maybe with one teacher, two if they're lucky. And these teachers are usually incredibly overworked as it is, but now they're using their extra planning time and lunch periods to help cover classes. Again, it's a total mess, and ask yourselves, what learning can possibly take place in these situations? Probably none. With the amount of students catching COVID and fear from families about catching COVID, we have students staying home anyways. So now we have this morbid mashup of students both at home and at school, and now teachers and admin have to figure out how to educate both. Teachers are creating and printing extra packets and materials for the at-home students while trying to create engaging lessons for the students who are in school. They are doing this often without any extra prep time, support, or training. So, as you can see, forcing in-person learning during a COVID surge is not only unhealthy, it's uneducational, if that's even a word, and it's completely unrealistic. It's a joke. Now, I've been kind of holding on to another study that I want to present now to talk about a larger point. This study that I'm about to share is the backbone of all teacher prep programs, professional development, teacher observations, and just education as a whole. Here it is. Research shows the number one factor in affecting student achievement is having a good teacher. In both the short and long term, leaders are destroying education by continuing to disrespect teachers, pay teachers low wages, ignore teacher concerns, and by causing teachers to quit. If leaders actually cared about studies, data, and student achievement, then shouldn't they be doing everything in their power to protect the health, safety, and happiness of their teachers? The truth is, leadership and these talking heads, they don't care about student achievement or studies or data. COVID has revealed what they really care about: the economy. Teachers are the babysitters of society. Teachers need to shut their traps, get into them schools, catch COVID, so mommy and daddy can get to work to keep the economy booming. The most frustrating part is that we have had 2 years to prepare for situations like this, to brainstorm and create solutions for problems like this. Yet, we have a study that comes out telling us what we already knew, and the only solution is to go on and get back in them schools, all to improve a few points on a math and English standardized test. Welcome to the modern world of education.